all of storytelling is fantastic.
Absolutely. And listen, I wouldn't expect anything less than a mason jar reference from two Southerners talking. So it's just chef's kiss to that. That was beautiful. Hey, welcome back to the Stories on Tape podcast. I'm your host, Josh Robinson, and today's storyteller is probably one of the most kind, most funny, and definitely most precious people I have ever met. It is the one and only Heather Hendrickson. Hi, Heather. How are you today?
I'm well, Josh. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited. We had a podcast lined up to do this, and then things fell apart, and you reached out and said, hey, we have to do this. So thank you for doing that, because I'm very excited to chat with you today.
Absolutely.
So let's first get into, before we get into all the other fun stories that we have together, do you have a story that you can tell us that might explain who Heather is if we've never met you before?
Who Heather is, there's a lot of stories I could tell. I do want to start with this one, which you may be like, why would you ever share that story? That's embarrassing because you look ridiculously stupid. And,
those are the best ones.
But it is one of my very favorite stories, and I get tickled every time it comes up. So I was newly engaged, didn't spend a lot of time with Nick's extended family and even his brother and sister and brother-in-law, because they lived a little bit further away. So we're all together at the in-laws. We're playing catchphrase.
Of course.
Which was my favorite game on Fridays in math class if we did well in Algebra 2 sophomore year. Mr. T let us play. I got really good at it. So here I am like, oh, I'm the queen of this game. I'm going to really going to have fun. I'm not going to lose, right?
Not at all. No, you're going to crush it.
It's not a fun game when you don't really know people. So it gets passed to me. The timer's already ticking a little bit faster, right? I look at this.
I'm so excited.
I look at what it says. I look at what it says, and I'm so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got this. Yes. So I am getting them to say things, and I finally get them to say phone because I'm like, you talk on it, whatever. Then I get them to say tick. I'm like, it's like a bug. So I'm like, put that together. And because, and they're like, a phone tick. I'm like, yes. And I pass it and it goes out on the next person.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm so excited. I'm like, this is the best moment of my life. I got it. And it was a hard thing, like a phone tick. I'm like, what? My father-in-law and the sister-in-law looked at each other and they're like, phone tick? I'm like, yeah, like the police bug. They put it in your phone. And they look at it and they say, you mean phonetic? Oh my gosh. I wanted to die. I was mortified. Phonetic. And I got them to get, but here I am. I got you to guess phone tick. So who's really dumb now, right?
Correct. And they went with it. And they were like, yeah, that's the word, obviously. Heather, I love that. I don't know if I've ever had to look or spell the word phonetic. So I think I'm on your side. I would have been like, oh yeah, this is a weird thing that no one knows about. We'll call it a phone tick.
Right.
I love that. Do you still get made fun of to this day about that?
Sometimes. Mm-hmm. But then I remember, y'all guessed it. So.
Mm-hmm. Does catchphrase still get played in the family?
Not as often. But maybe I'm to blame for that. I'm always like categories or something. I'm now mortified that what if I get a word that I didn't even spend time looking. I'm like, oh, phone tick. Okay.
That's
never in my life.
I love that so much. Okay. So there you go. Now you know Heather a little better, everyone. Now you know her. So how I got to know Heather was, you live and work in Chattanooga, and we got connected, I think, through Michael Crosa. Yes. Yes. For the Daily Refresh. And so I got to come to your office, and I remember I presented our different scale of packages, having never done that before, might I add to you. And it sparked a friendship. I think we only had you on the show once, maybe twice.
Yeah, once.
Yeah. But it formed a friendship, and that's what matters. What do you remember about that, like, first meeting, if you remember anything about it?
I remember loving you off the spot. I'm like, oh, this is my kind of person. But I was really nervous about being on. Just you're trying to tell all of this stuff. You've got 3 minutes, which you know
Mm-hmm.
are going to go by. But then you're also like, it's live. What if I mess up? What if I say phone tick? Like, there's just so many things that go on that it was a big deal. You were a big deal. And so I was excited to have connected in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you made it so easy. I mean, I even remember being like, can we hold hands as we,
And I'm happy
as we did
to.
that?
Yes. No, and I remember you did amazing. You are so easy to talk to, and you get you on a topic that you love or you're passionate about, and it's gonna, like you said, fly by, but in a great way. I'm not having to like pull 2-word answers out of you, which is so nice. So you work in the insurance business. Tell me a little bit about how you got connected to that, because I feel like that's not necessarily something many people know how to get started in.
Sure. Sure. Um, Insurance is never something that I dreamed of. Never, no little girl is like, I can't wait to be in insurance when I grow up. Like a normal little girl, I wanted to be a nurse,
Okay.
and had gone back to school a couple times to do that within my second year. And a couple of things happened between um, the financial part of it, but
Mm.
also physically. After a car accident, I was in my senior year. I've had a lot of knee surgeries, 9 total, and my doctor looked at me after the sixth and said, "You're not going to be able to be the nurse that you want. You're going to have to sit at a desk and do papers. I just don't think you're going to enjoy that."
Mm-hmm.
And not telling me to rethink, but also making it real, which I'm grateful now. I was not at the moment, but I'm grateful now that someone cared enough about me to bring to my attention what could have wasted hundreds of thousands more dollars in that. And looking back now, I would have graduated during COVID. And so I
Mm.
now am just all of full circle moment of how I was kind of protected in that way. Um, but I had a friend that our boys went to school together, and her husband was an insurance agent and said, "Oh, he's looking for someone. I think you'd be great. Why don't you have a conversation?" Um, and for me, I was like, okay, at this point, I knew that I was not going to go back to school anytime soon. I needed a minute. So I was like, okay, I can look at this. Now, I had already stayed home with my boys for 8 years, which was very important to me. So I was grateful for an opportunity to get into the workforce, but doing it part time
Mm-hmm.
and trying to figure out, like, when everything fell with what you thought you were supposed to do, what does that look like? Right. And so ended up really loving it, which I know, again, most people are like, ooh, insurance. It's like almost a curse word. Um, don't say it. But um, the reason I wanted to be a nurse, I wanted to take care of people. And I realized in insurance, that's all I'm doing. I am taking care of people without wiping their heinies. And that's the best part. So it is such a joy to protect people in a way they don't even know that they need most of the time, to be able to educate them, educate new drivers and young drivers. And I've now been in 2 accidents, motor vehicle accidents, and have gone through my own claim process, which helps clients, right? I know what they're going through, and it allows me to better assist them. So that's how I got started. And that was almost 10 years ago now. And
Wow.
about 3.5 years ago, I opened my own agency, which has been a lot of work, but it's been really neat to be able to, when your name's on the door, you get to lead in the way that you feel is best for your agency and your clients and your team. And there's been a lot of growth. Um, and I'm very excited for where we are. The team that I have is absolutely fabulous. The clients that we have are amazing. And I'm constantly seeing um, the way that we are impacting the community. And it's
Absolutely.
a really cool thing.
Heather, I'm so happy for you. That I didn't realize it had been that long. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very exciting. So that was another question I had was, what have you learned from being in insurance that makes you excited, that gets you up in the morning to do this job every day?
Sure. And I, I'm just a happy person. Let's be honest,
Can
okay? I
confirm.
love
Can
everything.
confirm.
I People excite me. I like to meet people. I like to properly protect their most precious possessions. That is so cute, right? So cute. But I think it's just going in, knowing I'm going to take care of people, whether it's on the service side or whether it's having a new conversation, writing a new policy to protect a new family, all of that, the appointments that we have, seeing new people come in office, are we going to have a walk-in, like, seeing all of our business neighbors who we love and adore. Those are the things that excite me. As much as I have a routine, right? There are certain things that would have to get done every day. We don't know who's going to call. We don't know what accident may come in. We don't know how we're going to necessarily be able to help. And that's the beauty of each day.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. See, that's what I need in a job is a little difference. I like to have a schedule. I like to have a structure, but if something can pop up every now and then and, make my brain think a little harder, I love a job that gives me that opportunity. So I very much understand that. I also have gotten to speak to some parents throughout doing this podcast so far. You mentioned your sons.
yes.
Tell me a little bit about becoming a mom. Was that something you always wanted to do? Is there a story of like having kids and staying home with them, like you said, that kind of makes you smile when you think about it?
Sure. Every part of parenthood makes me smile. I am the crazy parent that's going to be like 63 on a front porch drinking sweet tea and be like, I still, my uterus is contracted. I want to have a baby. I know that about myself. I will want a million of them.
Mm-hmm.
My husband says no. So, well, whatever. He just lets me buy animals and lizards and things, and I name them all of my baby names that I don't get to use. No, but since I was a little girl, I don't remember a time I didn't have a baby doll. Everyone else is playing with Barbies, and I have my babies. And um, I remember a time I had this canopy bed. I was pretending I was on a boat. I had all my babies. I asked my daddy, or my daddy came in and he was like, can I play with you? I was like, absolutely, get on. It's me and my babies. And he was like, where's your husband? I said, I don't have one. He said, no, your husband's in the army and he's out fighting for the country. He was like, you have a husband. He's just not here. I was like, oh, okay.
Sure.
Because in my head, it's just me and my babies. Like, I didn't know I needed a husband at all, right? I'm just making my own.
Absolutely.
So, um, that being said, it was instilled very young. Never once. I've always been super maternal. Always served in the church nursery. Always babysat. I started babysitting when I was 8 years old. Um, Such a huge part. I actually started helping naming people's babies in the church when I was young as well,
Yes.
and loved that. So just anything about that was my favorite. So when it came time for my babies, Nick, my husband, we had talked about having babies, 2 to 3 years out. 6 months into marriage, we find out we're having a baby. And I was so excited because I'm like, my life's dream has come to fruition, even if it's different timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember wrapping up a pacifier and the pregnancy test and giving it to my husband in a little baby blanket. And he opened it and he was like, are you kidding? And I went in the other room and cried. And of course, now I can look back. Your husband gets home from work, hasn't even decompressed, and he has no idea, right? And he's not super excitable anyway. So
Sure.
all of those things together. However, he's the most fabulous daddy. Something I knew in him early on. And Laker was born and is fantastic. So many stories I could share. He's now 16. He's now driving, which is scary.
Yeah.
Not for him, but there's other people on the road, right?
Right.
There's you are not just responsible for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big deal. And so love that. And then when he was almost 5, we had Oakley, my younger son, who's now 11 and in the 6th grade. And he did not have a great start. Now, I had C-sections with both babies
Okay.
planned. The car accident I mentioned earlier was my senior year of high school. I was initially told I wouldn't be able to have babies. And then a couple of months later, they said that I could, but I wouldn't be able to naturally deliver because my pelvis, after being broken in 8 places on one side, was not able to contract the right way. So I knew that going in. Now, growing up watching TLC, A Baby Story, and everyone had water births, took my dream away.
Yes.
right? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Everybody. I didn't even know babies came out any other way but in the water. Anyway, so I no indication that Oakley would be not healthy. He was born on July 7th, so 7/7/14, and he weighed 7/7 at 12:37. So he has God's promise, the promise number, all over his life. But he was born with severe pulmonary hypertension, and was the sickest baby in the NICU for a while. We had a lot of people praying for him. There were moments that we did not think he would make it. And that was the hardest thing, to be a mom and experience something like that. We have also experienced loss with infants, and that's hard. It's hard to go to the hospital and then have, your diaper bag and your car seat and everything in your room. Can't even look at it because you're not even with your baby, right? So he went from being sedated, full oxygen, to slowly being weaned and on a ventilator, oscillated ventilator, slowly weaned off, and ended up going home a month later on oxygen for 6 months, and had a few rough years in toddlerhood, but then now you would meet him, right? And he's happy as a clam and healthy, and we are so grateful that the genetic mutations and some of the other things he had going on that he has been able to recover from. There are still things we look for, but it's definitely not what it was, and we are so grateful for that. So those are a couple of stories that help share. I think for me, my faith allowed us to get through that, my dependence on Jesus, especially as the hard times come, when you have ailments or hardships and all of that. And my boys, now I've got my older son who loves any sport and is great at that, and I've got my youngest who is just finished a theater play at the Chattanooga Theater Center, and has signed for a showcase in Atlanta next year to meet an agent, hopefully. So we have the best of both worlds, and I absolutely love being a mama. It's what I was made to do.
Oh, that is so exciting, Heather. That was my next question. As I was kind of getting ready to leave, or I think while I was still in Chattanooga, but getting ready to leave, you told me that Oakley was looking at maybe becoming, getting into a show or two. As a theater person myself, very much. What's that been like for you guys?
It has been phenomenal. I did a lot of theater growing up, and so it's neat when your children kind of follow in your steps a little bit, and you get to know all of the work and seeing how natural it is for him to memorize and to be himself on stage and to take the coaching and the criticism that's necessary, right, to become better. And it's my husband and son who are not theater people, and I'm grateful that they get to experience this side. They can appreciate the arts, but it's not innate for them, right? And so it's just been really cool for our family to be able to celebrate all that Oakley has accomplished there. And it's neat when you finally see your kid and they'll find what they want to do and they're good at and they love, and being able to support them through that. It's just been phenomenal. And the Chattanooga Theater Center is phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. The director there, Chuck, that we've worked with a lot since the academy, I could not say enough good things for what just the experience they're giving to young kids, and obviously adults as well. They don't just have shows. We're not in the adult shows yet, so I have not experienced that, but I'm just so grateful for all that they pour into to this and to our community.
Absolutely. I love the theater center. They got me hooked back on the theater bug when I was there in Chattanooga, and it's a really special place. So I'm really glad that's having a great experience. And I think so for me, doing theater and chorus and band, my sisters were the ones that played sports, softball, soccer, rugby. I've been to several of the games. Sorry, my cat's automatic cat feeder just went off. And so I think it's really neat when you have both of those things happening in a family, because like you said, it gives the side that's not necessarily good at those things or wants to participate still the experience and at least the surface level knowledge of what it is. So when they do 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, they're in college or they're meeting different people, they can have at least a surface level conversation about those things too.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so excited. Fingers crossed for him in the showcase and everything. Tell him I said break a leg. I'm very excited to see where that goes. And then you've mentioned this car accident that you were in your senior year of high school. And how long have you been a wheelchair user?
Just for 4.5 years, since
Okay.
February of 21,
Okay.
like consistently.
Yes. Yes. So can you tell me a little bit about how you came to that decision, and then what's that like for you day to day?
Oh, it's so fun. Highly recommend it. Just kidding. Don't listen. Um, so I was hit head on in February of 21 and have a spinal cord injury that I'm still recovering from. And that came right after the death of my gramps, who I was incredibly close to, the end of December 2020. So
Okay.
that happened. Then I got COVID with pneumonia. I mean, it was just in and out of the hospital. There's just a lot going on with that. I was really sick. Third day back to work part-time. And then this happened on the way home. And um, it was really difficult. Um, I don't think people realize that haven't been in the position that when something like that happens, it's not a one-time incident and you're done with it. Even if it's not physical injuries, there's PTSD and there's a mental, emotional, spiritual capacity to that. And then when you add the physical, it's terrifying. And I remember when I came to after the accident, I had a witness and an Army guy, Bradley and Barry, that were there and were helping, which was phenomenal. I'm so grateful for God's provision and having all of these responders there to help. But when I realized I couldn't feel my legs, and knowing that, I mean, even if you watched Grey's Anatomy, right? Like you're like, that's not a good thing.
Right.
And all I can think about was what does this look like, right, for my family? So fast forward, right, through ICU and Siskin and all of this. I am good. I am okay. It's not okay, right? The accident was not okay. Certain aspects have not been okay, but I am okay. And I am grateful that what the season has done for my faith and for me individually, and the growth that I have experienced, and the ability to be able to have a voice for other, ADA, right? There are so many people that are born with an ailment of sorts that puts them in a chair or with some kind of medical device. They don't know that certain restrooms, bathrooms are not up to standards. They've always dealt with it, right? And put up with it. And I'm someone that has not always been in this position. So I'm able to have a voice for them and say, hey, look, this isn't right. Like, let's try to fix this. Let's, put a report in here, whatever. And not so much to be a Karen by any means, but y'all, when you're trying to go into a stall, just everyone close your eyes. We're going to picture this. You ready? You're going into a stall and you open the door and it hits the toilet. What are you supposed to do? Right? Okay. So now we back out of that one. We try to get into another one. We're able to open the stall door all the way, but your chair doesn't fit through. What are you supposed to do? Okay. And then the last one, you ready? We're going in and it opens. You're able to get your wheelchair in so you can sit on the potty and piddle, but you can't close the door because there's not enough room to get your chair in all the way and close the door. Okay. So you're talking about everyone's worst nightmare, right? Is piddling with the door open, or that the toilets are together and there's no walls. And right, you tell me, I mean, most people have had that dream, right? And that's almost an everyday thing for some people. It's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not just because we are disabled in a sense, right? Or handicapable, however you would like to say it. It wouldn't be okay for anybody, right, to not feel safe and not feel protected in a vulnerable situation, right?
Absolutely.
And so that is just a kind of a glimpse into the life of handicap Heather. No, but grateful for that piece and the relationships I've been able to make. There are so many other people that I've been able to meet because of this that are also dealing with either spinal cord injuries or something that confines them to a wheelchair. And it's nice to be with people that get it, because as much as people have good intentions and want to understand, unless you are sitting on your hiney all day, like, you don't understand. And it's not a mean you don't understand. I want you to, but you can't, right? Just like
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go run a 5K race tomorrow and I don't know how it feels, right? It's the same thing. And there's a level of empathy, right? When things happen like this, you're able to to listen to stories better. You're able to know what questions to ask. You know whether to be sensitive in some areas, or whether it's, for me, when people ask me my story, it helps me desensitize from the trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not a ball of emotions any longer. And that's because I've been able to share so many times. And I'm grateful for that. But it's been hard because, especially initially, I was in a hospital bed in my living room, and um, everything, right, was changed in less than a second. And you have young kids. My boys were 6 and 11 at the time.
Wow.
And very difficult because they don't know how to fully comprehend this. I now have my 11-year-old putting shoes on my feet so I can go to the ball game with them, and talk about humbling.
Mm.
It's very humbling.
Mm-hmm.
But I also look at, hopefully, the husbands and fathers they'll be one day because of this experience. They are able to look at other kids who may not look or talk or act like them, and be able to want to get to know them and help them, and look for signs to help other people, whether it's holding the door, hey, you look like you're struggling with it, can I help you with that, instead of staring and immediately looking away if you make eye contact, or
Mm-hmm.
choosing not to help in a situation. And my husband, who has become the taxi cab driver and all the things that I was, and I'm so grateful that he's done it with such grace. um I can't imagine how difficult this season has always also been on him. I think a lot of times people look at me and like, oh, Heather, you're this and that, but it's I'm okay. Right. I will be okay with my circumstance. It's my husband I mean, how strong do you have to be to continue to put wheelchairs in and out of the car and drive you to appointments and pick up the kids and do things that they've not had to do? Now, mind you, his work schedule was different. I had a little more flexibility, okay, but still, it's different when you end up being everything for everyone. And there are
Mm-hmm.
certain things that I'm unable to do now that he has to do, or else they don't get done. And so I'm just very aware that when things happen, and I would love for your listeners to be aware that when things happen, remember, everybody is affected. It's not simply the person that was in the accident. And they would want you to know that too. Check on their family, check on how you
Mm.
can assist. And we've had great support, I will say that, and I'm so grateful for that, and the village that we have around us. So I know that was a lot, and that was probably way more than your question was, so you're
No,
welcome.
that's what I no, this is what I want so badly. That's what I love about just getting to sit and chat with people, is the trails that we go down, and really like understanding who you are. So two things that then pop into my head is, one, the people that you have chosen to surround yourself with are obviously pretty amazing human beings, for not only like for doing it, but keeping you in their life and continuing to help and making sure that things haven't fallen through the cracks. Because I feel like sometimes we hear that like it gets hard and people are just like, I gotta step away. But it sounds like you found the people that are gonna stick with you to the end.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if they haven't
Mm-hmm.
left now, they're never going anywhere.
They're stuck. They're with us.
They are.
Um, and my second question, oh no, it was, um, oh, my second thought was, you mentioned it earlier, you're a happy person. Where do you find the energy, the joy, the want to be this person versus the like mean, grouchy, I'm gonna run over your foot with my wheelchair person?
Oh, that sounds fun sometimes. Talk to me like that again. Beep, boop. I'm just
We'll
kidding.
do it with a smile on. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have always been someone who is very, like, probably 97.3% positive,
Mm.
and would rather be happy than negative. So I think part of it is just me. Part of it is outgoing Heather who wants to make friends and wants to do. I think the other part, obviously, is Jesus in me, and the joy that you see is my joy is my strength as in the Lord, right? It's from Him that I find that, and I'm so grateful for that on so many levels. The other part of that is we're adults and things have to get done. So I think the other part is responsibility, right? So you bake all that in a pie and it's not very delicious, but it is what it is.
But
So, but it's,
we're
I
gonna
mean, that's part of it.
yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your faith. This is always, I think, also a very interesting topic for me as someone who grew up in the church. Has it always been something important to you? Did it increase once the accident happened? How has that kind of been a part of your life?
Sure. I paused for a second because I'm like, where do we start? There's a lot there. Um, without taking everyone to church. So I am a pastor's kid. My daddy's a pastor and was always on staff. Well, he's with the Boy Scouts for a while, but on staff, and then took over as a senior pastor when I was in the 8th grade.
Okay.
And I always knew who Jesus was, um, and but didn't know him. I did not have a relationship with
Mm.
him. And it was not, I mean, I think I always knew that in the back of my head, but was unwilling to give up the control that it takes to allow him to be your savior, right? And allow him to lead your life. So I was at a camp between my sophomore and junior year, July 10th at 11:30 at night. I was sitting on the top of the stairs, and I will say the 2 weeks previous or prior to that experience, I was scared to go to sleep at night, Josh. I did not want to
Mm.
close my eyes because I knew I would go to hell. That terrified me. But I couldn't tell anyone because my parents already thought I knew who Jesus was. Because Heather, who went down the aisle in 6th grade because her friends made her go
Mm-hmm.
with them, and she just stared at the floor the whole time because I didn't know what we were doing up there. And then couldn't say like, no, I didn't, because that's the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely.
I was terrified, right? Which looking back now, I'm like, what parent would have been upset with them saying, I want to know the Lord? Nobody. So if that's you, please don't be ashamed of something that you have been through. Like, it is never too late. It is, and people want to celebrate that with you. Your relationship with him is the most important thing. Sorry, that was like a little let's tap break for dad. Jesus time. But I remember just sobbing my eyes out because I knew what I had to do, but it takes so much,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was at my bottom to actually give it and actually mean it, and there was weight with that, right? There I felt it, and um, I remember finally being ready and finally asking him to come into my heart and change me. And I wanted to give him the lead. And I think it's so important to not only believe in who he is, but understand that his sacrifice was for me and everything that I have done and will do. Now that's not a free pass, y'all. It's not he covered it on the cross, so I can do this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what it's meant for. But more than anything, he loved me.
Mm.
Even as I was, right? He pursued me and loved me. And that there's such beauty in that broke me to the point where I was like, I have to be in this with him. I have to be his. And fully, right? So that happened a year and a half later. My first car accident happened on Good Friday, and I was great. I remember, well, I don't remember this, but other people remember it for me. When I finally came to a few days later,
Uh-huh.
I was singing songs, hymns, and songs about Jesus, and so clearly in a great space. I was in a good space for a few months after, and then I just became bitter.
Mm-hmm.
I was um, upset that it happened. I'm upset that it took the end of my senior year. upset for what it did to my body, the scars that I had, knowing I was going to have more surgeries. And we're talking, gosh, 20 fractures or breaks from my pelvis to my skull.
Wow.
And knowing I kept complaining about my legs that were trapped because I was like pancaked in the back of a car or a
Mm-hmm.
Camaro. And they were like, no, they're fine. They're just bruised. And I was like, no, there's something wrong. And it took another year to realize that my kneecaps were twisted and I had compartment syndrome in my legs. So they were essentially blowing up and nerve damage from my high knee down to my toes. And so then surgeries happen. There's a lot going on there. So all of that doesn't make you grateful. I was not. Um, I it wasn't just a one surgery fixes all. And then you hear things when you want to be a mom like you can't have kids. What do you mean I can't? And I know that there is adoption. At the time I didn't because I was 17 years old, right?
Sure.
But when that's your dream and it's taken along with all of this other stuff, along with people in the town saying mean things like, oh, must have been drunk. I was a passenger, by the way, but must have been drunk or on drugs. And there was none of that. I mean, the cops had impounded the car for weeks and weeks and weeks to do that. But all of that ends up building on you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And especially when you're a 17-year-old little girl. So I made some really poor choices and tried to get God to take my life
Mm.
and to not love me, not want me, to discard me because I didn't feel worthy of that. And it took me another year after that I came to my end, my rebellious, realizing that nothing I could do was going to separate him from pursuing me, from wanting me, for loving me, and nothing could take that salvation away, even through my bitterness and my anger and my rage. And a lot of that went to God because I didn't have a person to be mad at here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be mad at him. And I will say that restored. I know him in such a beautiful way. I have seen so many pictures of him painted throughout the different seasons of my life, throughout the hardships and throughout relationships and throughout beautiful things like marriage and children and family. And it is such a joy to be his. And I think that's the difference between that first accident where I was a baby Christian versus this last accident. I know him. I am firmly planted on him. My faith was already strong to begin with. So immediately when I came to after I was hit in 21, I saw his provisions. And Trevor Tomas, the police officer that was there, and Barry, my army guy, and all of these things that he did. Our village taking care of my family through meals and through prayer, and my parents immediately coming up to help us, and my in-laws helping with the kids, and just all of these things, our church and baseball team. And obviously I could go on and on, but there's just not a reason to doubt. And there have been there are still hard days, still hard moments. And yet I am reminded of his grace, and I am reminded of his love for me. And I'm reminded that even if I am not healed here fully, right, I will be one day. And that my healing is not contingent on his, or I should say, his faithfulness is not contingent on my healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
His goodness is not contingent on my healing. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So there it
Absolutely.
is.
Oh, that's
Jesus in a
beautiful,
nutshell.
Heather. That's beautiful. Well, one, I'm very thankful that he didn't take you from us, because I'm so thankful that I have gotten to know you and laugh and eat Mexican food and all the things that we've gotten to share together. And then another thought comes to my brain is that I always hear the saying, like, God gives his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. But I'm always like, hey, why are we messing with the good people? Why can't, like, one car accident for someone in their life is enough? Like, why there gotta be more than that? And so it just, like, hearing you be able to go through that earlier in your life, so when it very unfortunately happens again, you already know, like, I'm firm, I'm strong in what I believe, I know what I need to know. Is I don't know, like, where I want to go with that. It's just, it frustrates me to meet people like you and then hearing the things you've had to go through, and you still have a smile every day, and you're still one of the most positive people.
I get that for sure. I think we have to remember, as much as God can stop things and he can heal and he can, right, he is capable, he is sovereign. This earth is evil, right?
Mm.
This, we are a fallen world. So because of sin, right, that could he have stopped the accident 100%? But he knew it was going to happen. And what did he do? Immediately sent people to help me.
Mm.
Immediately, right? So while I still don't understand fully why people have to go through things, nobody, but taking this on the other hand, yes, we don't want good people to go through things, but do we really want bad people to go through things? I mean, I don't. I may not agree with what they're doing, but I don't wish this on anyone, Josh. I just don't.
Sure.
But because of the fallen world, because of back to Adam and Eve, that is why bad things are happening. It's because of the broken world. It cannot be compared to the glory that God has, right?
Absolutely. And
It's just part of that. And I know it's still hard to take, but I think when you know that, it makes it, shouldn't always say easier, but you're then equipped to handle things in a different way because you're not alone.
absolutely. And I think, and then in my brain, the other side of the coin is, well, I think I would rather it happen to someone who is positive, joyful, prepared, as opposed to someone who, like has no support system, has no beliefs, has nothing going for them. Because I know at least you, person in story, is strong enough to handle it and has the people around them to support them on the days where it is a little harder.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. People, when things happen, they either become bitter or better. And,
Ooh.
and, and obviously, like, I mean, it can be both, right? But um, there's always beauty in the journey. I always say, don't miss the joy of the journey. But you're either looking, if your outlook is negative, right? You're only going to see anything that's wrong. I'm not healed. I hurt today. My wheelchair broke and I had to buy a new one, and all of these things, right? But if you're looking for beautiful, you're like, look at this. The Lord allowed me to wake up today. Look at this that I have. Thank you for this doctor appointment with good news. Thank you for this relationship that I have because of this, right? I met them in Siskin, and we get to be friends, or thankful for the way that I've been able to encourage this person in their journey. I had someone connect me. Sorry to kind of go on a tread. I had someone
Please.
connect me with um, a friend about 4 months ago. And y'all, I mean, this original friend of mine, we went to church together 15 years ago. Okay, moved to Carolina, North Carolina, few years later. So we don't get to see each other all the time, right? We're now Facebook friends. That's how we stay in touch. She connected me with one of her friends who had just been in an accident and was resulted in a spinal cord injury.
Mm.
And it is the most amazing thing that something that I've gone through, I now, that's a not a great memory, but a distant memory. I got to speak with her and message her and understand how she's feeling. While we can't 100% understand what other people go through, when you've been through something identical in a way, right, with the same result, I can understand that in a different way, right? It's a little more relatable. And as she's saying things like, I'm nervous my husband might leave me. I don't think he's capable of doing this. Or, I'm terrified. I don't know what this is going to look like for me. Or what do you think I should advocate for yourself? If you don't like the way that doctor's talking to you, get a different one. You can do that. All the things I wish I would have known. But how amazing that something that was not good, right? The Lord has turned for good. And I'm able to now have this new friend that she has someone to talk to and lean on, that's not a part of her medical team, not a part of people who don't understand it but can pray for her, which that's a beautiful thing too. But someone that's been there and someone that can at least share, hey, from my experience, this is it. Or hey, I know it can feel like that. I promise what you're going through, this feeling will not last forever. It is tough right now, but hang in there. Hang in there. Like, can I pray with you? Do you need something like a pick me up? Like, is there, drinks now? Whatever could make you feel better. Here's a resource for you. Check out what they're saying here. And I love people. And I love the journey that I've been on, because you're shaped by what's happened to you, right? Would you be the person, even Josh, right? Without not only your childhood, but the good and the bad things and the okay-ish things that have
Mm-hmm.
happened to you, you wouldn't be. And I just wish people loved life the same way.
Absolutely. Listen, I finding people who have similar lived experiences has opened my eyes, but have lived in like different parts of the country, different parts of the world, but somehow we have similar lived experiences and we can relate on that and then form a friendship that goes beyond that. I think is so special. So I'm very glad that there are people that you can connect with and do that too, because I think knowing Heather is a very, very special thing, and I'm very, very grateful that I get to say that I know you as a friend. It's a very special thing. So thank you for being that person. And another thing that I absolutely love about you, and it's something that I picked up on immediately when we met, is your sense of humor. You are we laugh so hard when we are together. It is my favorite. Where does that come from? Has that always been something? Were you making people laugh as a 6-year-old doing stand up in your living room? Like where does it, how did it come to be?
Yeah. I wish I could do stand up comedy now. That was so cheesy. Maybe we should like edit it out. I've never tried to be funny. I think there's a piece that I love humor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also a piece that helps me process this, right? If I'm not laughing about my situation, if I'm not making a joke about my position, then I'm over crying in a corner, right? So I've had people that are like, oh, don't joke like that. You're mean to yourself. No, I love myself, and that's why I can joke like this. But do you want me to go sit and cry in a corner? Or do you want us to be like, oh my gosh, look at handicap Heather, blah, blah, blah. So, or the hair in the chair. Maybe that's a kinder way to say it, right? But it helps things. I love to make people laugh. I like the joy, right? I want people to be able to let go of their worries and their fears and their doubts for just a minute, and let's have a good time. And who could ever say when they're in the middle of laughing and maybe piddling their pants and crying because they've laughed so hard that they're having a terrible time? No one is going to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about having fun, right? And truly living your best life. And there's healing with laughter, right? They always say it's the best medicine. So, but I do think that I've kind of always had a piece of that, for sure.
Absolutely. And another thing that I love about you is your alliteration. Give us your full, most precious slogan again. You said it earlier, but will you give it to us one more time?
Properly protecting your most precious possessions.
It's so good, and it's painted on your wall there in the office. And a peacock feather. I think it's very specific. It's a very unique choice. Where does that come from in your logo and your design when we come into the office?
Sure. So I love peacocks. I think they're beautiful. I mean, the males, because of course the females are not very attractive. So life for you. But there are a lot of things that the peacock feather stands for as far as loyalty and honor, and I could go on and on there. But things that I wanted the foundation of the agency to be built on. And it's actually a quill. And everything, if you come in the office, it's like a modern vintage with a peacock flare is how I would describe it. And most people are like, that looks like a hot mess. It's cute, I promise. Come see for yourself.
Do it.
But
yes.
I wanted it to be a quill because we write policies.
There it is.
And it's the vintage flair, and it has the it's just everything together. Mm-hmm. And it, there's something fun about that. It's not a boring logo. And of course we have the icons under it, so it's not just like, oh, they're stationary. You're not. Anyway, we like to write cards, but we're not going to create them for you.
No, not at all. Oh, I love that, Heather. And most precious, has that been a saying in your life? Was that something you created once you started the insurance? Where does that come from?
Um, oh wait, I did say precious possessions, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I think that Michael Crosa, our dear friend,
Hmm.
is the one that, because I had the logo out, we met a few months after I opened the agency.
Okay,
We were in BNI together, and then just immediately we're like, yes, let's be friends. And I don't know what this two people. And so he had the idea. He was like, "You'd be great at a podcast." I was like, "Ooh, I think I'm too late to jump on the train." I was very nervous. I'm like, I want my face on every billboard, but I don't know if I want my voice all over the world.
sure.
And just kidding, I do. And so he was like, let me just try this. And so he's the one who created Heather's Most Precious, like the logo thing.
Hmm.
So for me, precious, yes, has always been a saying for me. But I and when you talk about like the things that you adore the most, they're precious, right? Or what is that character that's always like, my precious? But he
Oh,
says it really,
is it Smeagol? Is that his name from Lord of the
I don't
Rings?
even know. Yeah, he's
Yes. Okay. I
special.
think
Yes.
that's right. Lord of the Rings fans, don't come for us.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. We don't know. But that's all it reminded me of when I said it like that. And I had my little hands here, my precious. But I've always, yeah, I love the word precious. Presh, all the fun things back when we were cute and young and fun. And it just was the best way to incorporate that. And then, of course, then Michael was able to take it a step further, which was always fun, right? When things continue to build. So I love it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so thankful that all of this has made you who you are, like you were saying earlier. I am very grateful. And my last question that I ask everyone: why do you think storytelling is so important?
Oh, storytelling is fun. It not only shows who you are, right? Especially when you tell stories that make you look kind of silly. Um, I think it makes you relatable. I think you're able to maybe help someone that maybe they need healing because they need to hear something from your story and how you've overcome that. I think that I don't know, I'm counting like I've got to give you 7 things that you need.
I'll take them
And
all.
I think, like I said earlier, it desensitizes you when you get to share hard things, grief and hardship and loss. When you first share, you may be like, oh, I can't, and it's the ugly cry. And then as you go through, the cry becomes less ugly. And then it's just one tear, like they left the faucet on accidentally, and you're just a little drip. And then it gets to the point where you're like, here, I can tell you my story, and I have a confidence, and I'm in a mason jar. And yes, while the story is hard and those words are coming at me and it's a little bit scary, they can't touch me because I have that glass around me, right?
Mm,
Sorry, that wasn't for that analogy, but I think it really helps. So you have all of these, stop laughing. You have all of these pieces that stories are just a part of it. And how is someone going to understand where you came from without them? And then they also are fun and comedic, and you start laughing with people, and you learn how to connect with people better. You learn how to be more empathetic and sensitive if you need to be, while also being harsh for people in some areas, right? And pointing them out and calling them out for things. And so, yeah, I think it's all of storytelling is fantastic.
absolutely. And listen, I wouldn't expect anything less than a mason jar reference from two Southerners talking. So it's just mwah, chef's kiss to that. That was beautiful and the best. Now I want to join you on the front porch drinking sweet tea out of a mason jar. That's what I want.
Let's do
That's
it.
all let's do it. Let's do it.
Fabulous.
Well, Heather, this has been an absolute blast. Can people follow you on social media? Where do we go if we want to see a little more of Heather's stories, but as well as the Hendrickson agency?
Absolutely. So for me, I'm just under Heather Hendrickson on social media, except for Instagram. I'm under Hendrickson 678, I think. Don't judge me. I don't get on Instagram a lot, so that's it. And TikTok is Heather's Most Precious. And then for business, if you're in Tennessee or Georgia, would love to have a conversation if I can help you. It's the Hendrickson Agency on Facebook, and then the Hendrickson.agency is the handle for Instagram. So
Perfect. And we'll have it all linked in the show notes and there on YouTube as well. Heather, I love getting to sit and chat with you. It's always so much fun. Thank you for sharing your stories today.
Absolutely. You are one of the best. And I'm so grateful that you're doing this and bringing storytelling to so many people. And just thank you for the honor to have me on. It's been the best.